Discretion is advised. Mama Black.
This program contains language and sequences some viewers may find disturbing.
Tonight, exclusive video of an armed robbery that happened inside a family-owned grocery store in Chicago, one of two businesses hit by robbers this week on the city's northwest side. And Eric Hong is live in Portage Park. Eric?
Alan, the owner of this store, is sharing that video with us in the hopes of preventing another robbery. Unfortunately, police say the suspects have already struck again.
They enter with guns drawn, 3 thieves in hoodies, stealing hundreds of dollars in cash, and the clerk's sense of peace.
He doesn't look so good. He's still in shock. He don't want to talk about it because he haven't get over yet.
The store's owner asked us to hide his face. It was his son who was behind the counter when the robbers busted in. It happened Sunday evening at this family-owned grocery in Portage Park. Surveillance cameras rolling as the clerk is forced at gunpoint to open the register. The other suspects acting as lookouts, making sure the store is empty, as one of the robbers barks orders. At one point, he looks up, and the camera captures this glimpse of his face.
They were screaming and yelling and saying bad words, so they just tried to intimidate him.
After swiping the money, the clerk is ordered onto the floor. The thieves make their getaway. It all takes less than 4 minutes. But police say they were just getting started. The following night, robbing at gunpoint this AT&T store in Jefferson Park. In the grocery store robbery, a customer is seen walking in less than a minute after the heist, barely missing the thieves. In fact, he's seen pointing in the direction where they fled. Tonight, a warning for fellow business owners.
I believe we need a little more police officers in the area. I'm very disappointed because these things being happening often in this neighborhood.
Those 3 offenders, for the most part, had their faces covered, but the store owner says they appeared to be in their 20s, 1 Latino, 2 African American. One of the suspects may have been a woman. Live in Portage Park, Eric Hong, ABC 7.
Is this a bruise right here? Emma Ibosi has bumps and bruises all over after what happened. In this exclusive video obtained by CBS 46 News, you see her in the white coat buying some snacks earlier this week. That's when the woman you see in the red shirt and hat approaches Ibosi, asking to use her cell phone. She says no.
Because I was scared she would take my phone. And then she was like, oh, you think I'm a thief?
The woman kept yelling profanities at Ibosi and walked to the bathroom.
I was starting to get scared. I was like, she's crazy. Let me just leave the store before something happens.
The 24-year-old rushed to pay for her snacks, but the woman reappeared and followed her.
She came out.
Watch as the woman turns attacker, jumping and tackling the victim, trying to steal her cell phone. Another camera shows the struggle. The victim then falls to the ground.
And that's when she grabbed my phone and ran to.
Ibosi tells us she dropped everything, even her car keys, running after her attacker to get her phone back. Meantime, watch this. Another camera shows how 3 men quietly and quickly grab the car keys and drive off with her vehicle. Tonight, we saw Atlanta police at the Chevron down the street from the Georgia Dome investigating. This is only the latest in a wave of violent robberies hitting gas stations across metro Atlanta. So far, authorities in Fulton County are working on a measure to curb the violence. But for now, Ibosi fears if it happened to her in broad daylight, it can happen to anyone.
That's the scary part, because it can happen anywhere now. I don't feel safe at all anymore.
It's just so insane. This even happened in broad daylight. Here's the attacker's vehicle description. It is a red Nissan with a Georgia tag RDB 1685. And back out here live, the victim's vehicle, which was taken by those 3 men, it's described as a 2007 black Saturn Vue with Michigan license plate Emma Love. That's Emma L-U-V. If you have any information, you're asked to call police. Back to you.
I was getting ready for work, and I heard a gunshot, but I didn't think anything of it.
Investigators have begun searching for the man they believe fired that gun, 29-year-old Javion Caballero of Barry. He's wanted for second-degree murder.
Last homicide was last year. The last murder in Montpelier that I'm aware of was somewhere in the 1920s, I believe.
Early Sunday morning, police found Marcus Austin's body outside his apartment building in Montpelier. Austin was a player for the Vermont Frost Heaves basketball team. His former head coach, Joe Salerno, says the news was hard to hear.
You know, he was a fierce competitor, very tough physical player on the basketball court. Yet he was a caring person.
Montpelier police say Austin and Caballero knew each other. They say early Sunday morning, the two had an altercation outside of Gusto's Bar in Barry, where Caballero's girlfriend, 22-year-old Desiree Carey, was hit during a fight. Afterwards, police say Caballero confronted Austin outside his apartment, where they believe he shot Austin and fled.
He may have gotten on a bus yesterday morning in White River Junction, a Greyhound bus, heading south. Final destination of that bus is New York City, but there are many stops along the way in Massachusetts and Connecticut and New York.
Bullets went flying after neighbors in North Mississippi say a dice game got out of hand. Ronnie Petty was shot and killed on Friday. Another man critically injured. Tonight, police have no one in custody. WMC Action News 5's Justin Jaggers is in Panola County to show us how much damage was done Friday night.
And I heard some shot fired, and then I heard a lot of noise going up and down the road, and I heard the sirens and things.
The shooting here in Como, Mississippi has neighbors afraid to talk. 1 dead, 1 in critical condition, and 3 more injured in a shootout that took place between 2 neighbors. So many bullets flew in so many directions Friday night that even one hit this back windshield of this car at a neighbor's house who wasn't even involved in the incident, and one even hitting the owner of this car in the leg. Jackie, who didn't want to give me her last name, tells me that the victim that's still recovering is her nephew, Rodrigo Burge.
They told me it was my nephew, so I don't know, really what happened.
Neighbors say this man, Ronnie Petty, died during the shooting. He lived just across the street from Rodrigo Burge, who families say paramedics brought him back to life on the scene Friday night.
My heart goes out to that family that lost a loved one, but I thank God that he didn't take my nephew.
The names of the other 3 people injured have not been released. If you have any information that may help, call the Panola County Sheriff's Department. Reporting in Como, Justin Jaggers, WMC Action News 5.
Began today in the trial of a Gwinnett County couple accused of keeping their oldest son locked in the small room for nearly 2 years. They are facing several child cruelty charges.
11 Alive's Joe Hankey spent the day in the courtroom as the defendants and the prosecutors questioned 60 potential jurors.
Well, here at the Gwinnett County Courthouse, Tyrion and Ricardo Wimbush are representing themselves and have begun selecting the jury that will hear their case. This trial comes nearly 2.5 years after Georgia DFACS received an anonymous tip questioning the couple's treatment of their 13-year-old son. Ricardo Wimbush faces 4 counts of first-degree cruelty to a child, while Tyrion faces 3 counts of second-degree cruelty to a child.
The defendants have each pled not guilty and deny each and every allegation contained in the indictment.
In the courtroom, Tyrion could be seen closely paying attention to jurors as Ricardo often took notes. In a previous hearing, a court-appointed attorney representing the Wimbushes' 10 children described the conditions she found the couple's oldest son living in.
He indicated to me that he was confined to a small room in the basement. His mother visited him a couple times a day to take him to the restroom. Otherwise, he had a plastic jar in his room should he need to relieve himself.
Today, Chief Assistant DA Dan Mayfield asked jurors about news they had seen of the case, and also Ricardo, a former all-conference Georgia Tech football player.
You form any opinions about guilt or innocence based upon what you saw in the news.
More than half of the jurors stated they had seen coverage of the case, and a half dozen talked about it with friends or family. One woman says it could influence her.
Could you set that aside and return a verdict solely on the evidence that you received from the witness stand, the physical evidence, and the instructions from the court?
I'm not certain I could.
You're not certain you could?
The Wimbushes questioned jurors who indicated they had been abused or knew someone abused as a child.
Would you like to speak about that with other jurors present?
And Ricardo inquired about one juror's stepfather.
Do you feel like that will negatively impact you in any way just by him pleading guilty to sexual abuse?
Overall, very few jurors admitted to having issues that would impact their judgment or ability to remain impartial. But a small group did say the young age of the victim could make it challenging. And once a jury is selected in this case, the trial itself is expected to last at least a couple weeks.
Well, testimony began today in the trial of a Gwinnett County couple accused of locking their 13-year-old son in a closet for months. They are also charged with not seeking medical treatment for another son who has cancer. In court today, Therian and Ricardo Wimbush saw their sons for the first time since being arrested. Joe Hinkie was also in the courtroom today during testimony and has more on the story.
Well, Sharon and Ricardo Wimbush are representing themselves in this trial. So while seeing their sons for the first time in several months, they also had to cross-examine them. And it's during questioning that Taryn at times appeared extremely emotional. Facing several counts of cruelty to a child after investigators found their 13-year-old son living in a small locked room for nearly 2 years, this morning Therian and Ricardo Wimbush began defending themselves.
Did his parents send him down there to stay? No, they didn't. He made a choice. And that choice was his.
And Therian herself made a choice today to defend herself in her jail suit instead of street clothing. During its opening statement, the state described a child being punished and separated from his 9 siblings.
These defendants put a lock on that closet door, and there he stayed for months and months and months with no books, no education, no entertainment, nothing.
While testifying, the 13-year-old described a nearly empty room, random bathroom checks, and wearing only the same underwear and undershirt for nearly 2 years.
Did you take showers while you were locked in the closet? No.
During her questioning of her now 16-year-old son, Therian asked if he wanted to come back upstairs during his time locked in the room.
Do you know why you would have said no?
Because I didn't think that he wanted me back upstairs.
Okay.
Minutes later, she asked for a court recess as she began crying. After lunch, a former DFACS investigator recalled Therian's reasoning for the boy being put in the basement.
Her beliefs from the Old Testament, when someone commits a sin, they should be separated and they should have to pay restitution. So he was sent down to the basement to separate from the family as a punishment.
And after their oldest son testified, the Wimbush's now 10-year-old son also testified in court today. He described a lump on his abdomen going untreated that has since been diagnosed as cancer and now is being treated. Hear part of his testimony coming up at 6.